Hello everyone. Today we will talk about spiritual growth, but through working with archetypes as they are presented in myth. Working with gods is not religion, not worship, and not a magical given bring service. It is a deep structured work with forces and archetypes that have shaped the human psyche, culture, and ideas about power, fear, love, and death of thousands of years. When we speak about gods, we are not speaking about fairy tales, but about models of power with which a person can either live unconsciously or interact consciously. And the main question here is not a gods exist, but what changes in a person when they begin to work with them, in their will, their choices, their responsibility, and their life as whole. Let's explore in depth what happens to us when we work with God. When we work with God as an archetype, we automatically work through that archetype within ourselves. In most approaches to archetypes, this is indeed the case. Working with gods often means working with corresponding forces of the psyche. However, the world automatically needs clarification here. The process may start almost on its own, but the depth and the result depend on how exactly you interact with the archetype, in what state you are, and whether you integrate the experience into your life. Below we will unfold this as an expert theoretical framework and practical logic. What does a god as an archetype mean? In the Jungian tradition, gods are not merely mythological characters, but symbolic images of universal psychic patterns, way of experiencing power, love, control, freedom, boundaries, ways of acting in creativity and sexuality, ways of being in rules, warrior, mother, sage, trickster, and so on. A god or goddess in myth is a condensation of a psychic function and that contains a great deal of energy. That is why it easily hooks us and provokes inner reactions. Why does working with gods affect us from the inside? There are several mechanisms through which this happens. Projection and the return of projection. We unconsciously stick onto the image of a god that which is repressed. Okay, I can't be like this. This is not allowed. Idealist. This is true power, purity, love, traumatized, fear, shame, helplessness, or underdeveloped, a lack of skills related to boundaries, aggression, care. When we look at an archetype and it touches us, this is almost always a signal that there is corresponding material inside us. Then the process of returning the projection begins. We gradually acknowledge this is also about me. Resonance with the collective unconscious. Archetypes work like psychic magnets. Touch a symbol and an entire cluster of associations, dreams, impulses, and memories is activated. This can create the feeling that something rose up on its own. Affect as an indicator of archetypal activity. If contact with an archetype produces a strong charge, fascination, fear, disgust, shame, ecstasy, it means the archetype has gained access to energy and has begun to move the psyche. It is automatic. Automatic activation, not automatic integration. More precisely, automatic resonance, emotional charge, projection appear. one may be pulled into a certain role or state. Mood, dreams, desires, and behavior may change. Not automatic. For this to become real inner work, integration is required. Awareness, naming, reflection, new action, changes in relationships, boundaries, or habits. Without integration, an archetype often does not heal but takes over. Risk, archetypal possession, inflation. When a person works with gods, sometimes they unconsciously begin to identify with the archetype. I am Ares, Athena, Kali. Justify impulse through it. This is my nature. Laws the human scale, empathy, nuance, responsibility. In Jungian language, this is called inflation or archetypal possession. Archetypal energy becomes stronger than the ego structure. Signs that this is not integration but possession. A sudden sense of omnipotence or special mission. Devaluation of others, they are asleep, I see the truth. Black and white thinking, impulsive decisions, breakups, conflicts in the name of truth. What does it actually mean to work through an archetype within ourselves? To work something through does not mean to get rid of an archetype. That is impossible. It means to recognize it within yourself, separate from it. This exists in me, but I am not only this. Give it a place and a form that does not destroy life. Balance it with its opposite. Every archetype has a shadow and an antidote. For example, working with the warrior archetype, you integrating aggression as a capacity to protect boundaries, not as destruction. Working with the mother goddess archetype, care without indulgence and control. Working with the trickster, freedom and creativity without lying or self-sabotage. A practical formula for turning contact into integration. Here's a framework that makes the process real, rather than just a mystical experience. Step 1. Name the function of the archetype, not Aphrodite, but sexuality, attractiveness, bodily value, pleasure, magnetism, choice, jealousy, shame, and so on. Step 2. Identify the poles, resource and shadow. Resource, what does it give? Shadow, what does it abuse? Where is it blind? Step 3. Where does this show up in my life? 3 concrete examples from the week or month. In relationships, at work, in conflicts. In conflicts, in the body habits. Step 4. A small integrative action. 1. Behavioral action that embodies the resource, restrains the shadow, trains in you human form of the archetype. Step 5. A check. Am I in contact or identification? Control questions. Can I laugh at myself? Do I see nuances? Do I preserve empathy? Can I stop? If the answer is no, the archetype is leading you, rather than you leading the work. An important clarification of the statement. When we work with gods as archetypes, we almost inevitably activate the corresponding structures in the psyche. But integration happens only when we return projections, become aware of the shadow, and translate this into concrete actions and choices. An archetype is a basic model of behavior and experience that manifests in myth, gods, rules, and persons in a state. They are neither good or bad, they are functional. Core archetypes. 1. Power sovereign. control, responsibility, order, the ability to make decisions and be consequences. Shadow, tyranny, rigidity, emotional coldness. 2. Warrior, action, protection, boundaries, discipline, the ability to fight for what is one's own. Shadow, aggression, destructiveness, chronic conflict. 3. Sake, knowledge, vision, meaning, analysis, strategy, awareness. Shadow, detachment from reality, superiority. 4. Creator, creation of the new, innovation, inspiration, the ability to reshape reality. Shadow, chaos, incompleteness, awards of responsibility. 5. Mother, caregiver, life, care, restoration, support, acceptance, healing. Shadow, control, endowment, dependency. Lover, desire, intimacy, sensuality, the energy of life and pleasure. Shadow, addiction, loss of boundaries. 7. Trickster, breaking rules, humor, provocation, dismantling outdated structures. Shadow, manipulation, deceit, destructiveness. 8. Shadow, repressed fear, aggression, shame, a source of great power when made concessions. Shadow of the shadow, self-destruction. 9. Destroyer, death, ending cycles, purification, transformation through loss, shadow, nihilism, self-annihilation. Key principle. Every person contains all archetypes, but some are active, others are dormant. Some are represented and operate from the shadow. Working with cards or archetypes is the conscience activating of needed qualities and the balancing of forces within. If we answer as experts and without mystification, working with God is not deals with the supernatural, but a structured interaction with meaning-based and psycho-energetic archetypes that humanity has shaped over thousands of years. What this work actually gives. 1. Access to archetypal power. Gods are concentrated archetypes: power, wisdom, love, death, chaos, order. By working with them, a person connects to already formed models of power, does not invent a state, but enters it through symbol, ritual, and name. 2. Focus and direction of will. Working with gods disciplines intention, reduced inner chaos, allows one to answer clearly what do I want and for the sake of what do I act. Without this, will becomes scattered. 3. Reprogramming inner patterns. Each god works with specific aspects of the psyche: fears, aggression, sexuality, responsibility, acceptance of death or change. This is deeper work than conventional psychology because it is operated simultaneously on the level of symbol, body, and the subconscious. Contact with tradition and collective memory. You are not entering in one-on-one with fantasy, but a field of culture, myth, generation of practitioners. This provides a sense of grounding and scale that modern people often lack. Personal transformation, but not comfort. Working with gods is not always gentle, often demands change rather than rewards, may dismantle illusions, rules, and all identities. Gods do not serve, they teach. What is does not provide? Guarantee material benefits, magical solutions without action is safety without responsibility. Key conclusion. Working with gods is a tool for awareness, power, and transformation, not religion's fanatism, and not a magical service. It is suitable for those who are ready to take responsibility, look at themselves honestly, change rather than escape. How to notice which archetypes are active. Don't look at words. Look at repeated actions. Archetypes manifest through automatism. Ask yourself, what do I do again and again, even if it harms me? Which rules do I constantly fall into? Which life scenarios keep repeating, repeating? This is an active archetype. Situations where emotional intensity peaks. An active archetype always produces an excessive reaction. Sign: sharp aggression or defense. This is warrior. Need to control everything. This is sovereign. Desire to save everyone. This is mother. Escape into analysis. This is sake. Destruction without a plan. This is trickster, destroyer. Where it's too much, the archetype is in charge. What you defend or justify. If a person constantly says, "That's just how I am, I can't do otherwise," this is right even if it hurts. That's not personality, it's archetype identification. Your conflicts a map of active archetypes. We don't fight with people, we fight with archetypes. Examples: weak people irritate you. This is the warrior dominate. You are angry at cold people. This is lover is active. You hate cows. This is sovereign, fierce, the trickster. What triggers you lives within you. Dreams, fantasies, images. Archetypes speak through symbols. Pay attention to recurring dreams, images that arise under stress, themes that repeatedly appear in creativity. The body doesn't lie. An active archetype always resides in the body. Jaw tension, this is warrior. Heaviness in the chest, this is mother. Coldness in the abdomen, this is sovereign. Arousal is this lover. Key phrase. An active archetype is not something you choose. It is something that acts through you until you become aware of it. Do all archetypes need to be activated? Archetypes are not a collection. Archetypes are functions, not levels of development. They don't need to be leveled up all at once, just as the body doesn't need all muscles tense simultaneously. The issue is not quantity but contextual adequacy. Some archetypes should remain dormant. Certain archetypes activate only in crisis, destroyer, death, deep shadow. If they are constantly active, this is not development but loss of stability. Violence is not simultaneous activating. A meta system looks like this. 2, 3 archetypes, this is core, the personality's foundation. 1, 2 archetypes, situational, activated when needed. The rest, integrated but not governing. This is psychological and energetic stability. The most common mistake: people try to activate the warrior when they cannot tolerate intimacy, the lover when they escape responsibility, the trickster when they to avoid growing up. This is not archetypal word, this is trauma compensation. The correct formulation: not activate them all, but become aware of them all. Integrate the repressed ones. Learn to switch between them. Key phrase: maturity is not when all archetypes live within you. Maturity is when none of them govern you constantly. Archetype activation. Expands experience, gives access to new states, highlights inner conflicts. What actually develops? Through working with archetypes, the following grow: the ability to see one's own motives, responsibility for choice, contact with the shadow without escape. Where people to go grown. Activation without integration leads to an inflated ego archetype, the illusion of enlightenment, escape from personal trauma into higher states. When archetypes truly support spirituality, activation helps when a person does not identify with the archetype, sees its shadow side, is able to switch it off, uses it in service of life, not to compensate of pain. A deep paradox. Archetypes do not lead to the light, they lead to wellness, and wellness is made as spirituality. For us, spiritual development begins not with the activation of power, but at the moment you stop being its slave. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.